You're watching PowerNation. You know, good looks will only get you so far in life. Eventually, you're going to need a little bit of personality, and that is the subject matter for today. We're going to be bolting on some horsepower, some shiny jewelry, and if there's time, maybe straighten things up a bit.
I do believe my friend back there just kind of gave a little subtle jab, but that's all good because he's kind of right. Today, that's exactly what we're going to be doing to this GTO. So you guys just sit back and more or less enjoy the ride.
Stance, finish, wheel selection. These are three primary pillars that will make or break the personality on your next project. But there's also a fourth contributing factor that a lot of people don't even think about. That would be the selection of your exhaust system. And when it comes to that subject matter, if you're having trouble deciding which direction to go, there's only three things you need to consider. PSI. And no, I don't mean pounds per square inch. We're talking performance, sound, installation. Now on the performance side of things, you gotta realize that the engine is just like the lungs in your body. The better it breathes, the better it performs. So if you're pushing a lot of horsepower and compression underneath the hood, well, all that pressure's gotta go somewhere. So a good high flow, high performance exhaust is gonna be your best friend. And then there's sound. We got two of our signature builds in-house, a 1971 Caprice that we've christened as Fat Stack, and then we've got our 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner that we call Road Burner. And that name speaks for itself. Road Burner is a loud, angry, aggressive-looking muscle car, and it's got an exhaust system that complements it to a T. When we fire this thing up, it sounds like you're getting punched in the chest. And then there's Fat Stack, smooth, classy, elegant, much like its exhaust. Doesn't rattle your brain while you're going down the road. And then finally, there's installation. Between these two cars, we had to weld, cut, and grind the entire system on both of them, so the process was a little more complicated and required some specialty tools. But with our Pontiac GTO, we want things to be a little bit more streamlined, easier, and user-friendly. And it's gonna check all these boxes of performance, sound, and installation. And all of those line up with the personality that we're looking for in our 69 GTO. Speaking of installation, I'm gonna go round up Tommy and we're gonna get this thing off the ground.
Whenever you're working on your project, one task that can sure enough eat up a whole bunch of time, and that is fabbing up your exhaust. Now, whenever you're working with something like we are, and you're doing an LS swap, that can actually kind of multiply the factor a bit. Luckily, Holley and Flowmaster offers a kit that can make exhaust a whole lot smoother. Now, what we've decided to do is go this route for a lot of reasons. One, it's time. Two is also for that Flowmaster sound. Now with Holley, they offer exhaust manifolds that bolt right to the heads, and they have a mid pipe in this exhaust system, should simplify things quite dramatically. However, you guys know how we are. We complicate things a little bit more and a little bit more. You remember back, we put a 9-inch Ford and also a coil-over rear suspension. So we may end up having to fabricate some of these tailpipes, but we'll just have to wait and see.
As Tom mentioned, this is a borderline factory replacement setup, so we're using all the factory mounting holes for our hangers. Makes it a little bit more efficient. Another thing I like about this setup is that you don't need a big, expensive, fancy welder to put this in. It's got all the clamps and hardware you need. Really, some basic hand tools, and a weekend with a buddy, have yourself a new exhaust system. Oh, you said don't scratch the paint on it.
Right.
Man, you clocked that about perfect for me.
Shoot, I'd almost nail that, dude. Put your clamp on it?
Yep. I'm like looking right at it, but you still made me question it.
Not gonna lie, I did it too. That's why I said it. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, you like it?
Makes me feel better. Not gonna lie. There's a lot more clearance back there than I thought it was gonna have.
Coming up, we engage our core and get straight to the point. That's pretty close right there. Well, we're just about ready to slap some sheet metal on the front of our GTO here. And the first piece of that puzzle is going to be our core support. Now, you don't want to go just slapping this thing on here all willy-nilly, because if it's sitting in there cattywampus, well, the rest of your body panels are going to be sitting in there cattywampus. So you need to make sure that this thing is perfectly straight, level, and parallel to the rest of the car. Now, to do this, you're going to need a specialty tool known as a tram gauge. A tram gauge is a vehicle body alignment tool that uses adjustable rods with pointed ends to verify if the distance between two reference points matches your specifications. They are a lot more precise than your standard tape measure, and I'll run you through how to use it here in a sec, but there are a couple more measurements we need to make first. Now, the first thing we want to do is make sure that the top of our core support is parallel with its mounting surface on the frame. So we're going to use our digital angle finder here. Check our angle here. It's like about 3.2 degrees. Top of the frame. 0.5. So we need to take our ratchet strap and pull this core support over just a smidge. That's pretty close right there. All right, looks like our measurements are within about half a degree of one another, so we're ready to move on to the next step. Now, the next thing we need to find is a consistent mounting point for the first rod on our tram gauge. Now, there's a few holes for us to choose from, but this one right here is about the same OD as the rod, and that's going to help keep it centered, so let's just make sure it's centered. All right, it's in about 2 1/4, 3 3/4. 2 1/4. 3 3/4. Okay, we're in business. All right, so we got our tram gauge here. Now, basically how this little guy works is that it's sitting at about 41 3/8 on the side measurer here. Now, I'll just the slider out. You can see, moves in and out like so. Set it into our first adjustment hole. We're gonna drop the other point into the fender bolt hole on the firewall. All right, we're sitting level on our bubble. We're about 69 15/16 on our measurement. Got everything locked in on our sliders. So let's see how close we are on the other side. All right, on this side, I didn't move our adjustments at all. We're still sitting at 69 15/16. Our bubble is still level, so we're all squared up. With everything lined up, we're good to go ahead and tighten our core support bushings. Now, if your numbers were off, when you go to hang your sheet metal, you'll definitely know it because you're going to be seeing some pretty consistent gaps across the board. All right, that looks good. Now, everything kind of rolled a little bit when we tightened those bolts, but we know we're straight corner to corner, so once we start hanging some fenders, gaps on this thing are gonna look pretty sweet. Up next, we go under the hood and take a closer look at a legend. Ooh yeah, now we're talking. You know guys, we get to build some pretty cool cars out of the Detroit Muscle Shop. And a little while back, we had some friends stop by with a very unique one-of-a-kind ride of their own for a new segment we're calling PowerNation Under the Hood. And if you like what you see, we're going to be doing a whole lot more of these, and you can check out the full version of this one on our website at PowerNation TV.
PowerNation Under the Hood is brought to you by Grundy Collectible Automobile Insurance.
Have you ever had a moment that stopped you in your tracks? You know what I'm talking about. You think a celebrity just passed you by. I like what I'm looking at. I'm talking about the car here, guys. Yes, sir. Yes.
All right, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Man, y'all brought in a peach today.
It's the Outlaw. Yeah, this is Outlaw. This is our prototype VIN number 1 of a 25 car run series we're gonna build.
Man, this thing is impressive. I know, like, it has that Eleanor flair to it, and you know, seeing that movie back in the day, or seeing that car in that movie back in the day, it made an impression on me. And I'm not really a Mustang guy, but that moment, I said, I could be a Mustang man for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what we kind of figured was, you know, if we're gonna build an Eleanor, you know, let's build something that's not what everybody else has done. And that's why we went with the Brittany Blue, ton of the customization. I mean, the thing's right-hand drive. We put a glass roof in it that we patent designed.
We didn't go with the Eleanor side scoops. We actually went with the 68 KR Shelby side scoops. We created our own deck lid and rear end caps. And we also did the same thing with the hood. We ended up running a steel hood. So we could actually make it fit the way we wanted it to.
If you could see what we built here,
I can see, man,
our
this thing
intention
fits
was
nice.
Rolls-Royce fit and finish.
You guys did a heck of a job on that. The lines are tight, smooth.
Thank you.
We figure if you're gonna have your name on something, you're gonna build something, it's gotta be right, or don't do it at all.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. That's true. I like the back piece of this thing.
Yeah, so what we ended up doing was we took a T-Bird tonneau cover, and
Like, what year T-Bird? Just curious.
it's like the late 60s.
Oh, okay.
You could actually take that out, and you still have your rear fold-down rear seat in the back.
So is there a seat below that?
Fold down underneath it, yeah.
Wow.
In keeping with the old school interior, you know, with the old school door panels and the stainless, those look like window crank knobs, but they're actually power windows. We didn't want to go ahead and modernize it so much to have buttons, but we wanted to keep that old school, but, you know.
So you just pull them up and you pull them down with the switches, and the windows go up and down.
That's fine until you get somebody in there that doesn't know, and they put that old man handle on it, and you're like,
Well,
whoa.
they are billets, so it'd take a lot of pressure to do it. But
Yeah, hopefully it wouldn't happen.
Can I sit in it?
well, welcome to.
Absolutely.
This is gonna feel odd, and I know I'm a little bit fuller than you guys are. I guess that's what I'll say.
It is a tilt column, so if you want to bring the steering wheel up, you can.
Yeah, this is a little smaller. Not gonna lie, it feels kind of weird. Yeah, power shifting this dude's gonna be a little different.
A little bit.
Yes, sir.
Being such a custom car like this, we ended up doing the GT500 font in the 2013 font, and then the MB obviously stands for Mustang Brothers. So it's also those little things where you don't necessarily see it at first, but as you're walking around the car, you're like, oh wow, here's that, and that's kind of what we wanted to achieve.
You're finding more and more things.
That's one thing I really like about the car is sometimes guys like go into, let's say, a custom mindset, and they basically screw up what the car is supposed to look like. Like, you're just supposed to elevate it in a way, complement the build, not make it something that it's really not. And you guys knocked it out of the park. Like, you've refined it for sure. Gotta ask, what's up under the hood?
I'll show you. So we took an engine out of a 2012 GT500. It's a 5.4 supercharged with a 6-speed, and we dumped it on in there.
I'm not gonna lie to you fellas, looking on this side and not seeing a steering shaft is kind of odd. Like,
Or a brake booster.
yeah, I thought there for a second, I was like, oh, maybe it's on the inside of the header. Then I was like, idiot, it's on the other side of the car. It's got a lot more room in there than I thought it was going to.
Well, we did the shock tower delete, so we actually cut the shock towers out. We welded in the cradle, and gave us a lot more leg room here, especially to clear on any Coyote platform. You got your alternator issue that's close, so we were able to get rid of all those issues and really open it up inside here.
Yeah, I was looking at the line here on the top of the fender and the windshield. That's not factory, right?
So we had to do that to put that windshield in there. So this whole operation here was a month in itself to do. And a lot of guys, when they do it, you end up with a huge gap. You can stick your finger between here. And we
Was it
didn't want
filled
that.
with trim? Is that what it was from the
Yeah, so
factory?
the original window trim would have came wrapped around here. Well, now we actually had to add all the steel up here and then add up to the fender up here. We make all of our lines out of steel. It's all welded up. This way, longevity, this car will always look like this years down the road.
You know, flush mounted glass is one of them things that people see it today in every car, vehicle, or truck out there, and they just kind of realize, like, it, just take it for granted. It's hard to comprehend how much time it actually takes.
Basically have to make the body fit the window itself. There's only one company that makes the front rear windows for a 7.8 car, and we really had to make the body itself fit the glass.
Yeah, it comes pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's individually your most favorite thing about this car?
That it's finished, that it's here. No, I mean, I think the best thing about this whole build was, you know, working with my brother. You know, we're just kind of an unstoppable
give
team.
him a hug for that, Bob.
You know, we had a dream, and you wonder how it can really become to reality, and then you work with a great group of guys like we did, and then to see it done, there's really no better feeling that you can kind of tell than that itself, seeing a dream come true.
Coming up, be sure to slow your roll before installing shiny new wheels. Today's a pretty exciting day for us because our wheels have showed up. Now that's one component that can definitely set the tone or personality of your ride. Now a few of you guys out there, I'm sure, are hoping that, you know, we're installing a set of rallies or something like that, and it's something 15-inch, but that's not the case. However, I do want to show you what we got. We picked up a set from Schott. Now these things are custom tailored for our application. And man, are they a good looking piece. Now unwrapping this, kind of like Christmas. That's no lie. Now if you'll notice, that's a pretty wide set of wheels back there. Now it's easy to see that this thing has some significant size to it. It's an 18 by 10, and yeah, it is gonna fit up here in this wheel well of this old Pontiac. Now with Schott, they have several different styles and several different makes, and you can also customize your finishes. Now with ours, we have a polished hoop with a polished face, and then we've used their titanium color here on the insides and across the lips. Whenever you're ordering a set of wheels, at least for me, it's a pretty nerve-wracking situation because I think about this is a lot of money that you're gonna spend, and if you measure wrong, well, you may be buying something that you can't use. So I thought I'd just slow down a minute, show you guys how I got to this point. So it may be some information if you're looking to buy a set of wheels. Maybe it'll help calm your nerves a little bit. There's a lot of terms and phrases that go along whenever you're going to be ordering a set of wheels. Now the first and foremost easiest one is the diameter. Now our wheel is an 18. However, it is not from the actual outside of the lip to the outside of the other side. Because if you notice with ours, it measures 19 5/8. They don't make a wheel that size. So what it actually is this surface right there on each side. Stretch your tape across there, you'll see it measures 18. Another thing that you're gonna need to know is your wheel width. Oftentimes guys think it's from the outside to the outside, and that's really not the case. It's actually where the tire beads on the wheel. If you measure ours, the overall width is about 10 7/8, but the actual width of the wheel is a 10-inch. Two more terms that you'll run into is offset and back spacing. And what that is, the offset is basically where the wheel is kind of set off into the hoop here, and then your back spacing is the measurement between the surface where your hub or the brake rotor is to the back of the wheel. Now, an easy way to measure that is you'll need a straight edge for your back spacing. Simply lay this thing across there, and then you use your tape measure to measure down to that face. That tells us with ours, we have a 5.5-inch back spacing. And then whenever it comes to your offset, you would measure from that surface basically to like the top of this toolbox. We have a 5.5-inch offset. Now knowing this information is crucial whenever you're trying to dial in the fit of your wheels to your car. Another thing you want to keep in mind is, the rear can articulate, meaning it can go up on one side and down on the other, kind of like whenever you're pulling into a parking lot. So that means that the wheel will tip in or out. So having that extra clearance keeps them from scrubbing on each side of this. Plus, if you buy them big fancy wheels, you don't want to scratch them all up or chew them up and damage what you've worked hard to achieve. Also, you want to keep in mind that everything is in order, like your rotor is in place, because sometimes those can be an 1/8 or 1/4 inch thick. And if you dial all your metrics in, next thing you know, it's a little too far one way. It could have been that you just didn't have everything in place to make sure it was right. So let's see if our measurements were dialed in. I sure hope so. What that wheel looks like against that black car. Looks pretty sweet. Woo-wee! Now if the rest of the car was just put together. It's a big day. Big day.